Today, our series about the main battles between animals of different eras has come to the famous Jurassic period. True, most of the dinosaurs shown in Steven Spielberg's films belong to the next one, the Cretaceous. But the Jurassic period also had its heroes. And in this episode, we'll try to introduce viewers of our channel to their dramatic struggle for survival and leadership in the food chain. Be sure to subscribe to the Age of Dinosaurs channel, and also be sure to leave a like on the videos you like. This will help in promoting our channel according to the platform algorithms. Also, thanks to all your activity, these videos will be able to be seen by other science lovers from different countries. The second period of the Mesozoic began about 201 million years ago and lasted about 56 million years. It got its name from the mountain system located in Switzerland and France. During this period, many geological and climatic changes occurred. About 213 million years ago, the division of the supercontinent Pangaea into modern continents began. Warm, shallow seas formed between the diverging tectonic plates. In the southern hemisphere, the future Africa, Australia, India, and South America were still all together, forming the huge continent of Gondwana. And related animal species of the northern hemisphere were already separated and began to evolve in their own way. For most of the Jurassic period, the climate on the planet was warm and humid. Towards its end, in the equatorial regions, it changed to arid. About 183 million years ago, due to increased volcanic activity, the average air temperature across the globe increased by about 5 degrees Celsius. The amount of rain increased, which began to wash away more and more minerals into water bodies. This, in turn, provoked the rapid proliferation of algae and bacteria that consume oxygen. All this led to the formation of shale rocks, which are formed from organic matter with a deficiency of oxygen. The climate of the Jurassic period contributed to the rapid growth of vegetation. Almost all land was covered with lush forests. The main plants of this time were ferns and gymnosperms. The most common were cycads and ginkgo. In the Jurassic period, these plants grew throughout the temperate zone of the planet. Coniferous trees, similar to modern pines and cypresses, gradually developed the temperate zone of the planet. But in the Jurassic jungles, they played a secondary role. Fern trees also gradually lost their leading positions, and under the canopy of all these thickets, real dramas were played out daily. Each living creature in the struggle for survival used all possible means given to them by evolution. But according to tradition, we'll begin the story of animal battles with the water element. On the ocean floor in the Jurassic period, new hosts appeared, bivalves. They displaced the brachiopods common in the Triassic from their leading positions. Some of the bivalves switched from combing the bottom in search of food to filtering water through their gills. Also at this time, such an ecosystem as coral reefs began to form. Its basis was 6-rayed corals, which appeared in the Triassic. This system exists today in almost the same form as then. However, modern environmental and climatic changes in the foreseeable future may lead to its complete disappearance. The main inhabitants of coral reefs were various ammonites and a new type of cephalopods, belemnites. Belemnites were predatory animals that fed on other, smaller mollusks. Outwardly, they resembled modern squids placed in a full-fledged internal shell. Their shells could reach 3 meters in length and had an elongated cone-shaped shape. They consisted of 3 separate parts. The middle conical chamber of belemnites is called the phragmocone. It grows throughout the life of the mollusk, and at its base is the birth chamber of the belemnite. Along the back of the phragmocone, there was a thin, flat or leaf-shaped protrusion. the Prostracum. But the most famous part of belemnites, thanks to which they got their name, was the rostrum. This chamber looks like the tip of a throwing spear. They're the ones that paleontologists most often have at their disposal. Rostra consisted of a denser material and have been well preserved to this day. Also in the Jurassic period, many new species of fish appeared. Among them were sharks, which had already acquired a completely modern appearance. They were much faster and more aggressive than their predecessors. Also, a large number of various turtles and crocodiles lived in salt and freshwater bodies. But the most intense competition for the title of rulers of the seas and oceans in the Jurassic period was contested by two types of aquatic reptiles, ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs. Moreover, both of them left the land for this and went the same way, which was later repeated by modern cetaceans and pinnipeds. Externally, ichthyosaurs were very similar to modern dolphins. They differed only in the shape of the tail and the presence of an additional pair of fins. They had a barrel-shaped body and a long, elongated mouth. This structure suggests that the main food of ichthyosaurs were mollusks and fish. Scientists also believe that ichthyosaurs, like whales, were viviparous. It's difficult to imagine that they could somehow lay eggs. It's noteworthy that these lizards were discovered by an 11-year-old girl, Mary Anning. She discovered a skeleton on the so-called Jurassic coast of England in Dorset in 1811. Her older brother found a fossilized skull, which he mistook for a crocodile skull. This find captivated the girl so much that she began to sort through other stones on the beach and was able to assemble an almost complete skeleton of an unknown creature. This young lover of paleontology is also the discoverer of plesiosaurs and pterosaurs. The name ichthyosaur means lizardfish. It was first used by the German naturalist Carl Dietrich Koenig, but later the skeleton found by Mary Anning was classified as a Temnodontosaurus. According to some estimates, these ichthyosaurs could grow up to 9 to 12 meters and weigh up to 3 tons. To date, scientists have described several dozen species of these lizards that lived all over the world. A plesiosaur discovered later on the same beach was only 3.5 meters long. Now, this species, which gave its name to the entire family, is considered medium-sized. The largest plesiosaurs grew up to 15 to 20 meters. They had a large barrel-shaped body with 4 flippers on the sides. Plesiosaurs also had a long, mobile neck and a small head. The structure and arrangement of their teeth suggests that these lizards fed mainly on fish. It's unlikely that one can seriously consider the possibility of regular battles between ichthyosaurs and classic plesiosaurs, but everything changed dramatically with the appearance of a separate variety of plesiosaurs with a short neck and a powerful mouth. These lizards were called pliosaurs and were classified as a separate genus, and their diet included more than just fish. The largest of them could easily hunt other aquatic lizards. The first pliosaur was also discovered in England and described in 1822. Its length is estimated at 10 to 13 meters, and its weight at 15 tons. The skull of a pliosaur, depending on its species, could be more than 2 meters long. When swimming, these giants used the technique of underwater flight and could develop a decent speed. In combination with a huge mouth and a keen sense of smell, this gave pliosaurs a serious advantage over other aquatic inhabitants. In the airspace of the Jurassic period, no significant changes were observed compared to the Triassic. Pterosaurs still reigned here. These small winged reptiles mainly ate fish. It's unlikely that serious air battles occurred between them. Of the notable events in the Air Kingdom of that time, one can note the extinction of the Rhamphorhynchus and the appearance of the most famous pterosaurs, pterodactyls. This type of flying lizard was discovered very first, and for many, the word pterodactyl is a synonym for all winged reptiles of the dinosaur era. At first, scientists attributed all the pterosaurs found to this genus, but later, the classification of most of them was changed. It's also still unclear whether all the samples available to researchers belong to different types of pterodactyl. It's possible that some of them are representatives of the same species, but their remains belong to individuals of different ages. The first real birds also appeared in the Jurassic period. For a long time, it was believed that the transitional form between reptiles and birds were the Archaeopteryx. Its discovery became another confirmation of Darwin's theory, but later studies showed that this unique creature belongs to a dead-end branch of development. As always, the main battles of animals took place on land, and as almost the entire era of dinosaurs, the dominant predators on all continents were large theropods. In the early Jurassic period, these were representatives of the megalosaurid family. The remains of these monsters have been found in Europe, North America, and even in Madagascar. Megalosaurus, which gave the name to the family, is the first reliably described dinosaur. The lower part of its femur was found in England in 1676. These carnivorous lizards lived in Europe from 166 to 168 million years ago. Their weight was about 2 tons, and the body length reached 9 meters. Another genus of this family, the Torvosaurs, lived in the United States, Portugal, Germany, Tanzania, and Uruguay. Their remains are 145 to 165 million years old. The body length of the Torvosaurs was about 10 to 12 meters, and their height was up to 4 meters. They weighed about 3.5 to 4.5 tons. Another group of large theropod dinosaurs, the Allosaurids, appeared 155 to 145 million years ago. They were also distributed throughout the world. Along with Coelurosaurids, they lived in the same areas as the megalosaurs, but scientists suggest that representatives of different families occupied different ecological niches and did not compete for food. Allosaurus, which gave the name to the entire family, was not the largest predator of the dinosaur era. Its length did not exceed 8.5 meters, and its height was about 3.5 meters. The average body weight of an adult Allosaurus was about 1.5 tons. Some researchers suggest that individual members of the family could grow up to 11 meters and weigh up to 4 tons. Coelurosaurs are the largest group of theropods. In the Cretaceous period, the most terrible predator of all time, the Tyrannosaurus rex, will eventually appear. This group also includes different types of ornithomimids and maniraptors. All of them are the closest relatives of birds. It's noteworthy that such unique dinosaurs as Compsognaths also belong to Coelurosaurids. These predators are comparable in size to a chicken, but they, by all indications, are true theropods. Even Antarctica at that time had its own unique theropod, Cryolophosaurus. Its size is estimated at 6 to 8 meters, and its weight is from 500 to 800 kilograms. A distinctive feature of this carnivorous giant was the crest on its head. Unlike many other theropods, The crest of the Cryolophosaurus was located not along but across the skull. Perhaps it served to attract individuals of the opposite sex. As already mentioned, constant battles between representatives of different theropod groups were most likely rare, but the herbivores that lived at the same time had to constantly fight for their lives. The Jurassic period was the heyday of the largest creatures on our planet, sauropods. Apatosaurus, Diplodocus, and Brachiosaurus were real giants. For example, the weight of an adult Brachiosaurus could reach 60 tons. Only young or sick individuals could become prey to predators. They descended from an earlier group of dinosaurs, called prosauropods. For example, they include such a species as Etonix. It lived in South Africa at the beginning of the Jurassic period. These lizards were not as large as their descendants. Also, it's possible that prosauropods moved not on 4 but on 2 legs or periodically changed their mode of movement. Given their size, adult sauropods could easily eat vegetation from the tops of trees without fear of attack by enemies. Although there are suggestions that some theropods of the Jurassic period were pack hunters. Using the right tactics, 2 to 3 allosaurids could risk attacking even an adult sauropod. Smaller herbivorous dinosaurs had to use different methods of protection. Most likely, the main prey of large predators of that time were stegosaurs and iguanodons. The former were up to 9 meters long and weighed up to 4 tons. There were 2 rows of vertically arranged plates on their backs. They could have served both for protection and for thermoregulation. Another formidable weapon of stegosaurs were the spikes on the tip of the tail. Many fossils of these herbivores bear traces of bites from large predators in the area of the base of the tail and on the hips. And on one of the skeletons of an Allosaurus, a hole has been preserved, presumably pierced by a Stegosaurus tail spike. Iguanodons appeared closer to the end of the period. They were also herbivorous dinosaurs with a small head and a beak-like mouth. Their length ranged from 10 to 13 meters. A distinctive feature of this group of lizards was the presence of a large claw on the big toes of the front paws. There's an assumption that dinosaurs could use it to protect themselves from predators, but perhaps they used this tool to dig up plant roots. Don't forget that herbivorous dinosaurs most likely grazed in large herds. They included representatives of various families. Herds of ungulates in the African savanna look about the same now. There, zebras, giraffes, and various types of antelope graze next to each other. They feed on different types of plants, and each animal contributes to the overall security system. Both now and in the era of dinosaurs, not every predator attack was successful. The result of the arms race between herbivores and carnivores is the achievement of a certain balance, which serves to maintain natural ecosystems in equilibrium. We express our deep gratitude to everyone who watched the video all the way to the very end. You can learn more about the stuff we discussed in this video, as well as other representatives of the dinosaur era from our previous videos on the channel, so be sure to check those out. They also talk about the origin of life on the planet and the features of the evolution of different species. Also, in our videos, we raise important issues of the relationship between man and nature and the problems of modern society. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon on the next video on the Age of Dinosaurs channel.